Florida State loses its quarterback commitment, and more prospects are wavering as well.
You are Locked On Seminoles, your daily podcast on the Florida State Seminoles. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back into Locked On Seminoles. I am your host, Brian Smith, longtime recruiting analyst and college football writer. Thank you for making Locked On Seminoles your first listen each and every day. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel, as customers can place a $5 bet and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win that first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. So we knew it was coming. Tramell Jones Jr. out of Mandarin High School in Jacksonville, Florida. He had been prior committed to the Noles for over a year. He has decided to flip his decision from Florida State and go with the Florida Gators. It's not shocking. The Noles are having a terrible season. They fired their offensive coordinator in Alex Atkins, and the Noles are just in a really bad spot. This is not a shock to me because I know Florida had really wanted to flip Tramell for a very long time. They'd also offered him early, way back when. And he's a guy that's been on the recruiting scene since he was a freshman in high school when I'd first watched him play against Ed White High School up in Jacksonville. His first breakout game. I was fortunate enough to see that. I knew he was going to be really good, so good luck to Tramell. He's got a good family, good dad, everything. Hope he has all the success in the world except when he plays Florida State. But now the question is, how does Florida State operate? Obviously, Carter Smith, if you haven't, the episode's up from a couple of days ago across all the different platforms, whether it's Odyssey, whether it's Spotify, Apple, etc. You can check that out, talking about quarterback recruiting. But if they didn't get Carter Smith, what would their options be? You could always take a guy and try to flip somebody else. There's a junior college option. And I still think they should at least have already begun their due diligence with the transfer portal this year, because you can't go into next season with two quarterbacks on your roster that are true scholarship quarterbacks. Can't do it. Got to have minimum 3. Really need 4 because they're so young. I don't know what exactly Florida State will do. I know Mike Norvell probably would like a run pass guy, but options aren't great. Sounds like Carter Smith is going to end up here, and he's a really talented player. But looking at it from a worst-case scenario, if he didn't, they got to be ready to take a junior college kid. They got to be ready to take more than one transfer. Everything is on the table. With that, the other piece of news that I want to pass on is not shocking. This has been floated around for a while. Solomon Thomas, LSU has really been after him for a long time. I wouldn't be shocked if Miami or Florida was a school he ended up at. Either, all 3 of those are options. If I remember right, LSU's his next visit. He's been to Florida recently. This is not trending well, and it's a player that I think could end up playing early, no matter what school he goes to. He's from Raines High School in Jacksonville, elite recruit, wants to play interior O-line. I've seen him numerous times. He is an absolute beast in the trenches. Florida State cannot afford to lose O-line recruits, but they don't have an O-line coach right now. It's a terrible combination, but you had to get rid of Atkins. This is the fallout from it, and he's not alone. Daniel Pierre-Louis might end up at Florida. He took an OB there this past weekend. That's not a good sign. He's also an offensive lineman committed to the Noles. I'm not sure how that's going to go for Florida State. They can't have a 2-man O-line class. It's, and that's best case scenario. Mario Nash could still end up at Florida State, et cetera, but they need 5 linemen in this class, ideally. They had 4 really good ones. Sounds like it could end up at 2 at best. That's a problem. I also know that Kevin Wynn and several other players are hearing from other schools. So at any point, coming or going, you're probably going to see news on Florida State pop up on your social media feed, on this podcast, et cetera. Do not be surprised, good or bad, because with the coaching changes, they're not going to be made until after the season. And signing day is December 4th. The timing is horrific for Florida State's coaching staff changes, but there's really nothing they can do about that. So I just want everybody to be aware that Tramell Jones is probably not the only guy that's going to decommit, and they probably are going to have 1 or 2 more guys at least commit in the next week or 2, I would assume, based on offers. Hopefully Carter Smith is one of those. We'll see how that goes, but just wanted to give a quick update. I hope everybody's well. You can find me on X at FBScout_Florida. Everybody have a good one, and I'll talk to you soon.